I was in Costa Rica with close relatives and friends. Snorkeling in the water after spending the day at the secluded beach, which seemed surreal and nearly perfect. I jumped at the chance to go out on the airboat, small, utility type, and somewhat shrugged off the need for flippers, bringing only a mask. I was on the boat with Esteban, a nice guy in his 20s I believe, also a native Costa Rican to the best of my knowledge and an avid surfer. Also on the boat was a very attractive woman in her 20s or early 30s who I sympathized greatly with on the trip right off the bat. Her brother is a professional skateboarder, so she actually knew quite a few pros, including Tony Hawk. My close friend is now possibly the top amateur skateboarder in the world right now, and actually had a short interview in Sports Illustrated that also featured Tony Hawk, who in the eyes of many is the most well-known pro skateboarder in the world. The third person on our boat was Kevin, operating the boat, who worked for my uncle. Esteban and I both had been drinking moderately on the beach. As we cruised in the boat, Esteban, who had a relationship with the woman, joked casually about pushing her into the water. She, however, took it seriously and did not appreciate the humor very much. On our way back to shore, Esteban and I decided to snorkel on our own, neither of us having flippers. We eventually separated from each other and soon were around 20 to 30 feet apart. Looking for bigger fish, I swam towards some rocks that stuck about 10 to 15 feet out of the water. Once near them, I realized that I should have trusted my intuition. I was soon stuck in the suction of water that normally happens near a rock formation such as this. As I looked up at them treading water, I recalled a story my mother and sister had told me of a young man in my position who was injured severely trying to climb up rocks half this size. So, I tried to swim away from them. All of a sudden, I realized how tired I was after drinking and being at the beach for the last several hours. I soon became short of breath, which made floating with my head in the water using the snorkel for breathing out of the question. I tried using it for what seemed like minutes to no success. I was becoming frantic. As I tried desperately to swim to shore, waves hit my face. I was submerged completely several times, taking in substantial amounts of seawater. The times that I could, I screamed Esteban, get the boat, and perhaps other things. Although the sequence of my experience is sketchy, I remember being underwater as past images and experiences flashed before my eyes and in my mind. While I was under, I saw what I figured at the time was the sun. As my knowledge of NDEs grew, however, I began to believe that was the image of a bright, yellow, centralized light. I also vaguely remember seeing myself in the water, but I am not positive of this. Before I knew it, I was being helped into the boat by who I remember to be Kevin, who had picked up Esteban before me. Dazed, we were brought back to the beach. I was lying in the sand for several minutes, dumbfounded about my experience. I also recall Esteban, who was of few words, say that he had nearly drowned as well. Since then, many things have happened that I believe to be related to this, including my cousins giving me a birthday gift that following September. It was a picture taken of me with several people in the distance behind me, on that same beach that day, running jokingly in the shallow water. I had nearly forgotten about the picture before they gave it to me, but I vividly remember when it was taken. At the top of the picture, which was framed, were words in script-like font, in white, which are in the sky, that say in all lowercase, prancing into manhood. I had no part in creating this caption. My mother's sister's daughters created it, both of which I have been close to since I was an infant.